The AmeniaTV board meeting Wednesday, April 16th, 2025. And I would move that we open the meeting and then go into executive session.
So we need to open the meeting. So we need to open the meeting.
Didn't I say that?
Well, you have to cross and open the meeting.
Oh, okay. So we'll do it in 2 steps. So I move that we open the meeting.
A second?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And I move that we go into executive session.
A second?
Aye.
And that is for the matter, to discuss personal matters and discussions relating to the hiring of particular persons. And at this time, we're also inviting Christine Gast. And the time is
Have you read my law?
6:32.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
There are only 3 of us, we probably know. Just We're on.
I make a motion that we close.
We're on, okay. I second that motion, Rosanna?
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? And the time is 7:07.
So we will start as we always do by saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The emergency exits, for those who aren't lifers here, is the door you came in, and this door over here also is an exit. Dawn, roll call.
Supervisor Blackman?
Here.
Council members Regular?
Here.
Ham?
Here.
And let the record reflect that Councilwoman Ahern will be absent this evening. The next item is approving the agenda. I make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Let's not. Okay, we have 2 presentations tonight. The first is from the Dutchess Land Conservancy. I don't know which of you is Emily or Sarah.
I'm Erin, actually.
You're Erin?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
As well.
Thank you. That was very confusing. So just introduce yourselves when you get to the
Sure.
podium.
Thanks.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me? Sound okay? I'm Erin Hoagland, Director of Conservation with the Dutch Land Conservancy.
I'm Emily Pilderhouse, that project manager with Dutchess Land Conservancy.
Thanks so much for having us here tonight and making room on your agenda. The DLC is making applications to the New York State Department of Ag and Markets to fund the purchase of development rights to protect a property owned by Laurel Brook Heifer LLC, a dairy farm operated by the Jackson family located on Leesville Road at the eastern end of town. One of the application requirements is for the land trust to obtain a letter of endorsement for our application from the municipality. I provided a draft letter in advance for review, and some of you may remember we were here back in 2023 requesting the same letters for other portions of the farm for which we've made applications, and both of those were carried forward, so thank you for that support. I'll tell you a little bit about the property and the farm operation, but I wanted to mention first, conflicts of interest. The state requires that we address this and respectfully request that anyone with a conflict actually physically remove themselves from the room during the discussion and the vote. Does anyone have a conflict? Okay, great. So also you're welcome to make any edits to the letter if you wish. We only draft it to save you time. To start, we have a context map here, which is also on the screen in the back. The subject of our application is 27 acres, but this abuts the rest of Laurel Brook's land holdings, which total 605 acres to the north. So the subject property is here in yellow, and the rest of the lands to the north are in pink. And those include the rest of the agricultural lands, which are open here, and also the steep wooded hillside on the east side of Rattlesnake Ridge. All said and done, the conservation work underway with Laurel Brook will result in over 630 protected acres. You can switch to the aerial. Laurel Brook Farm has been farming here since 1997. Cricket Jack here is here with us from Laurel Brook Farm in the room as well. And they've been utilizing the land as support for their home dairy out of East Canaan, Connecticut. The Jackier family has been farming for over 75 years and is entering its fourth generation of ownership and management. And the family's home farm in East Canaan is made up of 1,400 milking cows, producing over 130,000 pounds of milk per day, which is sold to Agrimark and Cabot Creamery. And this New York land base is critical to the support for their overall operation. As we mentioned, back in 2023, we were talking about the rest of the farm, which is home to the young stock needed for their operation. It houses almost 300 heifers, and these 27 acres are the last remaining piece of this overall protection. And these fields produce feed crop for that herd. The property, in terms of natural resources, it entirely overlies Zone 1 Aquifer Recharge Area, which is the most vulnerable for contamination from intense uses like development, which, if this is put under conservation easement, will not be able to happen here. It has 12 acres of federal wetlands and over a quarter-mile of frontage on the Millbrook, and just under a quarter-mile of frontage on the Weetuck Creek. To the farm soils. It also has nearly 40% coverage of important agricultural soils, including prime, which is in brown, and statewide important in the yellow there. And these soils are kind of one of the key protection criteria for this program because they're suitable for agricultural production, whether that's pasture as well as crop production. In terms of aligning with the town's goals, the Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan update states that agriculture is a distinguishing feature of Amenia and is responsible for much of its rural beauty and bucolic charm. Farming adds economic value not only in the form of products and jobs, but also contributes to the appeal, beauty, and property values of the town as a whole. It's also identified as the single most important and easily lost feature that distinguishes Amenia's landscape and rural community. And the comprehensive plan update encourages the use of conservation easements to protect farmland, specifically mentioning the purchase of development rights to do so. The property also falls within priority farmland areas identified in the comp plan, as well as stream corridor, aquifer protection, and floodplain overlay districts. And overall, I think this is just a really incredible opportunity to protect a critical mass of land that's important to the town, and we hope you agree, and we'll vote to endorse the project. Thanks again for your time. Are there any questions?
Yeah, hi, and thank you. This is a letter to be edited, this is not the final draft.
It could be the final draft if you're willing to sign it that way. We just, acknowledging that we drafted it for you, we don't want you to feel like you couldn't make edits as
So we
you
would
saw
need to
fit.
make that determination.
Right.
Okay. I think that's the only question I have. Thanks.
Was that anything? Okay, well, since we know that Amenia loves protected farmland, I move that we determine to send a letter in, and we can discuss the wording if need be, but I think we should.
The waivers on the next page, that's not the letter.
Yeah, no, I was thinking of that another question, which I did. I like the fact that the concept of rural beauty and because charm of our area, you know, have in here that this has attracted weekenders, commuters, and retirees who have become the fastest growing part of our community. I think it's a large statement and something that I personally would like to see continue.
Neil, has Ian seen this letter, has he gone through it or no, you know?
Yes, yeah, I think he has.
We didn't have any comments.
It's been circulated. The presentation has been circulated to all of us, and the letter is a standard letter that historically the town board has approved in the format, which has been submitted.
I will say it does pretty much exactly mirror the letter that was provided in 2023, only because it's the same property and meets the same priorities.
So I make a motion that we agree to send a letter of support. And, yes, second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay. And is it just me or does that image actually look like a cat?
I like that.
I'm trying to see it.
We were just saying the other day, property boundaries, sometimes the interpretation is like looking at clouds, we all see different things. Thank you again.
All right, thank you. Mark Morrison, who's our next speaker, is not here yet. So I think we will move on to public comment. 3 minutes per speaker, and does anyone have any comments?
My name is Terrence McCauley. I live at 30 Firehouse Road in Passaic. After reviewing tonight's agenda, I was disturbed by the lack of focus on several matters that should be important to the board. Recently, the town was forced to return public funds meant to address lead pipes in our water system. This was shrugged off by some on the board. We're told it was no big deal. We just couldn't get our act together in time to spend it. I think those who use that water deserve a better answer than that. Then there's the recent plan to opt into a property tax reduction program for our first responders. I think it's a fantastic idea, and I couldn't support it more strongly. However, it's a program that's been around since 2022. Why haven't we considered it until now? It's because it's an election year? Kind of makes sense to me. Our first responders deserve much better. But the town's focus lies elsewhere. Like the misguided rush to apply for a state grant program we have absolutely no hope of winning. We don't even have a comprehensive plan yet. We're working on it, but we're not there yet. We're told that it will cost Amenia absolutely nothing to apply. But for those of us who have been in government long enough, we know that every application costs something, whether it's in preparation time, in review, or in compliance.
Terrence, I'm sorry, what application are you referring to?
I'm talking about the New York Forward program.
Okay.
Initiatives like sidewalks to Beekman Park are fantastic, and I support them too. But transformative projects like Amenia Green are the future. And thanks to Paul Winters, the town studied this project at great expense and considerable effort. It could address our parking concerns downtown. It would also become a town center that benefits Main Street businesses. It would make Amenia a destination, not just a pass-through, for those looking to spend money in Millerton or Connecticut. And I think it should be called Paul Winters Park, so that his hard work will be commemorated for future generations. But instead of focusing on Amenia Green, we're dusting off plans that are decades old. I know springtime is the season of renewal, but the resurrection of dead plans recently found in the back of a closet is quite the Easter miracle. And the timing of such visible projects is curious to say the least. Makes you wonder if it's an election year. Our revitalization won't happen by turning Amenia into Westchester or Nextchester, like some people prefer. Revitalization will only happen if this board remembers what people like Paul Winters, like Jeff over at the Mosaic Project, and many others in our community have shown us time and time again, that chasing grants and hoping for the best don't cut it anymore. Revitalization happens when town government facilitates doing good work. That's always been the case, even in election years. Thank you very much.
Terrence, you make me think it's an election year. More to the point, the Amenia Green is completely dependent on grants, just for the record.
That's the way you want it. It's not necessarily the only source of funding.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Okay, let's see. Anyone else for public comment? Judy?
I have a question first, and I apologize for not knowing this, but when property is put into a land conservancy, does that affect the taxable status? It would be good to know that. If someone could answer that afterwards. As far as the Amenia Green project goes, as someone who has actually recently read, I only got on the Recreation Commission in August, but as someone who has recently read the information we've been provided with, I have to say that there is nowhere near the information we should have at this point to decide how we're going to move forward with that project or even what the project is. The Recreation Commission is in the process of sending a letter to our landscape architect who is in charge of this to get information that we would have hoped to be provided by now. So I have to say, I think anyone jumping on a bandwagon really needs to look at what's actually there. Since it hasn't been presented publicly in terms of what our feedback from the New York State DOT or the New York State DEC or the Army Corps of Engineers or a number of other people who will need to review it. It has perhaps been presented as further along than it ought to have been. Let's see. I guess that's it for now. Thanks.
But Judy, I just want to say one thing that we all experienced recently was a get-together with department heads, and we talked about such issues and how that was far different than what's been done in the past. Going forward, it's exactly what we need to do with projects like this, is all of us get in the same room, all of us give the information to each other and make decisions and have discussions and make decisions versus someone having an idea and it goes out to an email and then it gets discussed later and off to a next meeting and the next meeting, but, and this is what just happened our most recently meeting.
I agree. The Connect the Dots was a useful meeting because it reminds us that we all actually ought to be talking to each other and making sure we know what's going on. I do remember what the other thing was. As a member of the Water District, no one is more irritated at seeing money wasted in the Water District than I am. Unfortunately, the money that had to be given back was due to the firm that handled the Water District operation prior to this board. And I'm very happy that this board actually hired someone who knew what they were doing. So I think we're in better shape right now.
Yes, we are. Thank you.
I just want to also make a comment, I agree 100% with Brad. I also attended the meeting of the committee's chairs, and it was a great meeting, nothing what I expected. And it did point out the fact that part of the reason we have disjointedness is because nobody seems to talk to each other. And I think this is a great step forward for people to actually be pulling in the same direction. And the CJC was there, as well as the flood for the comprehensive plan review committee. And so everybody was there, and I thought it was a very productive meeting.
Agreed. Okay, anyone else with a comment
Answer the question.
about the taxes?
Yeah,
Sure.
right.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, so.
Sorry, just to clarify, the question was how land being protected by conservation easement affects the taxes.
The taxable status.
The taxable status, sure. Yeah, so land that's being protected by conservation easement, there's actually no direct effect to the taxes that are owed on the land. There are other benefits, whether there's sort of two options. There are donated conservation easements where the landowner can seek a tax benefit, income tax benefit. And there are purchased conservation easements like we do on farmland where there's a payment for the development rights, but there's no direct reduction. So the landowner is still responsible for that tax burden. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to now have Mark Morrison take over. Mark did the plan from 2004 hearings, and the reason that I invited him is because in the time, the 23 years I've been in Armenia, there have been a lot of reports and drawings of grants commissioned by the board that never got implemented because no one pursued the grants correctly. And I asked Mark to talk about that because when I found that in a drawer, I thought, this is very strange that this never got, this just disappeared after it was drawn. And it's still work that has not been done in the 20 years since, and no one has really pushed it along. And since everyone seems to complain about what our downtown looks like, I think we need to do something like this. So take it away, Mark.
Thanks very much. Leo and I have been discussing this a bit of time, had a little tour around town. This is kind of a walk down memory lane for me. I came here to the area in 1978, I have a place in Sharon, Connecticut, and moved to Wassaic in 2007. And I've been actually working in Wassaic since about 2000 overall. And just to have a quick look through, we can lose advancement.
He's in the back corner.
You can hit it, because I know we want to go through this fairly quickly. But we've taken a look, not real in-depth. There's been a lot of work done here, since the middle 2000s. Project goals from the Parks and Recreation, enhance the downtown centers located at Amelia and Wassaic with walkable mixed-use communities with expanded recreation opportunities, create opportunities for development, affordable housing, expand and enhance open space, greenways to connect open space, protect the town's natural and agricultural resources, and of course celebrate the history of the community. We took a look at actually connecting, back in 2003 or 4, connecting the train station to the firehouse because it wasn't feasible at the time to go down Route 22, which we later master plan. And we found that working through that corridor, there's opportunities to do affordable housing, there's opportunities to do larger regional recreation where kids can truly get there by bicycle. And we won't go in depth, but it was a study that we did and pulled out a lot of natural areas, including Yvonne. We took a look at wetland areas, opportunities to do boardwalks, educational opportunities for the local schools and citizens in general. Yvonne. 2007 and 8, we actually did the playground in Wassaic Park. We were able to get the playground installed, but nothing else was really done to the park since that time. And go on. We also did the Amenia landfill reclamation with an engineering firm. We actually developed, and today exists, a parking lot where you can get a small school bus in. It was supposed to be walking trails, it was supposed to be educational, for school groups, again, the local community as to what ground fields are all about. There's wonderful high points where you get great views of the Avalon, and nothing's been done. And, the next is just an aerial view and picking on Beekman Park. At Beekman, you can go on. Beekman is in, great need of renovation. If you've been there lately, the ADA parking doesn't work. The playground is not in good shape, nor the ball field. So that's a project in itself. We took a look in 2004 at Main Street and Mechanic Street in Gorn. We all know this, so you go on again. We took, again, East Main Street, Mechanic Street, as to what to develop. Go on. We did a second scheme for Main Street. Go on. And they were very simple treatments that, could have easily been done. Dutchess County, like the plan, said it was, grant worthy, but again, nothing's been done. You can go on. Same time, East Main, different schemes. Go on. The idea of bringing vegetation in is something that would be a major goal within Main Street, within the region in general. Move on. You know, planting will tie a lot of things together. We also have to deal with storm drainage and, you know, doing rain gardens, trapping stormwater on the surface and letting it percolate will be a lot more effective than underground piping overall. It's also important to look at the vocabulary that we would develop. And I think that local materials are important, historical materials are important, and will give a sense of space and place, you know, to our area. One. Leo actually took time, a lot of time, to go through Main Street and come up with thoughts and ideas. So, you go on. And all these things, you know, should be looked at.
Oh, all right.
Covers a lot of territory. You can go on. Well, SAG is a little different story. It's a tiny little spot that a lot of us love. Thanks very much. I know there's certain things that are near and dear to local residents. I think that what needs to be done is a study that explores some different opportunities. Parking is a big deal, parking can be organized, but we basically have the Main Street area, and then little residual spots that can be amplified into areas where a larger portion of the town can gather, you know, seasonally, at various holiday times in particular. Go on. When we built the playground, we actually extended the gravel path from the railroad crossing down to the playground, but nothing's really been done since, and that's been, you know, nearly 20 years ago. So the other issue is not a lot of maintenance going on. You know, there's scrubby areas along Wassay Creek. My name was on the playground, but the maintenance was a little lax, and the mulch wasn't being replaced, and, you know, it was just opening up the whole town for lawsuits. Go ahead. I actually did a parking count a couple Fridays ago. I came through town, and it was like, wow, I mean, this place is packed, right? And there was, I think, 20 cars, all, you know, in and around along the tracks. And then there were, you know, cars in every space, few in front of the post office, and on and on. I thought, yeah, you know, if we did one-way angle parking, we have to take out the little green, and I know that'll be contentious for a group. But if you did that, and you went one way, you could then have a wonderful row of trees. That could be bioretention, because we're probably going to have to deal with storm drainage there. We can have cut-throughs so that pedestrians can park, cross, get into the lantern, get into the new wine store. And that we talked about, why doesn't the post office let us park there when they're not open? Maybe it's because they get deliveries, you know, all times, and they gotta be able to get a truck in, but that's a possibility. The other possibility is if you, and I know that When Jane did a plan, there was talk a little bit about expanding along the stream and that, but when you look at both sides of the bridge, you know, I was kidding Leo, I said we could really stir up the pot and call for that road to be dead-ended, you know, and let it be a parking area, you don't cross the bridge. That may be a little radical for a lot of people, but if not, then, you know, keep everything the way it is. Expand on both sides where that little area with picnic tables is, historic signage, the swale in the middle of the whole thing. Those two could be combined so that larger events could take place by closing the road. So you'd have both sides. The Wasatch project has a little bit of open space on the other side, so all of a sudden it becomes a bigger civic area, much bigger than the little green will ever be. And we can take the War Memorial off the post office, which you can almost never see during the day because the postal workers park their cars there, so nobody would ever know that that's there. But that could be, you know, taken into account, for example, with the flagpole. And, you know, there's just a lot of things that could be and should be looked at. So moving forward, I think whoever, if we're lucky enough to move forward, that'd be great. But whoever does, I think, wants to have kind of a flavor so that, you know, things can be considered. Because there are a lot of opportunities to take advantage of. You can go on. This is just a list of things that have been done since 2002. Pretty amazing, a lot of studies, a lot of really good studies, a lot of good planning, a lot of good design work. Nothing's been done. You know, we're talking almost 25 years of nothing happening. So, you can go on. We pulled a page from the Parks and Rec study, and only because the red boxes say the same thing, hire a design team. And I think that's where we're at. You know, I think we've probably paid for enough studies for most areas. You can go on to the last slide. We have an opportunity to look at, you know, various areas in town. Some are being, I think, further along. But the design team really should help in surveys. We're going to have surveys moving ahead. We need to understand the grades, the drainage, you know, and on and on. Plus the approval process is going to require that anyway. You know, we want to create functional concept plans and using a lot of the previous information that's been generated, whether it's from us or all the other studies that have been done, because there's a lot of valuable information, you know, that shouldn't be wasted. We also want to obtain social license through meetings and votes from the community stakeholders. You know, they're the ones who are going to make the final decisions. You know, we're a vehicle. Leo's an architect, I'm a landscape architect. You know, we've got a great team of people, you know, within the town, so that these things can be developed appropriately. Create schematic design drawings where you can start to get estimates going and start to look for grant opportunities. Design development, which takes you into like 50% contract drawings, and then create contract documents so that these projects can be bid and built. So you need to understand, ultimately, everybody here, we have the ability to do the design work, we have the ability to get things you know, ready for bid, supervise construction. One thing we don't have control over is the approval process, and it can be painful and long. So whether we're talking about DEC, New York State DOT, we're actually doing half the Harlem Valley Rail Trail now from Chatham down to Philmont. And in Ghent, across from the Bartlett House, we're going to put a crossing. 66 people are coming down the hill at 70 miles an hour. And so everybody's very happy about that. And it's an arduous task. The DOT's been good. The engineering fees haven't been that substantial. So, you know, it's going to happen. That may have to occur if we do a mid-block crossing by the library, for example, on Main Street in Amenia. So I'm getting, the hook is gonna come out soon, right? At least if it's a shepherd's hook, it's okay. It's okay. But, and then, you know, whoever, we can help the town with graphics and, you know, material in support, you know, grant applications and that stuff. But I think it's just that, we're at a point where there's been so much done, so many things studied, that it's about time some projects are going. And whether you want to form like a super committee, I'm happy to, you know, have expertise as I can in that, but I think there should be some definition of and prioritization of projects, and it probably wants to be East Main Street. We didn't really get into Mechanic Street. Mechanic Street, real quick, is a major connection between the rail trail and all the vendors in Amenia. And worst comes to worst, because we got to fight with the fire department, with Judge, and on. You can put icons in the street and then put signage in to guide people, you know, to come down here. And that would be a very simple start overall. But I don't know, walk down memory lane, you know, what can I tell you? So, been fun. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mark.
I'll leave you to your business. You don't need me, right?
No, I don't think we do, but thank you for presenting.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yes, please. you
I
may
think,
comment.
I think that he just reiterated what we talked about before. You know, we think more need time and time again to have somebody come in and do studies, and it is time that we move forward. I do know that, for as far as people in Park is concerned, I know that our commission, has moved forward with, upgrading the playground equipment, and also, are still in the process of, upgrading the facilities down there and making them handicap accessible. The CA, the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee, met, and they had the planners speak to them, and they are moving ahead with plans to get community input and have gone through some of the steps that can be taken to do that. So I think that, there are some steps, and I think having the community chairs meet also and work together is something that will help us move forward.
Thank you. So I had a comment, and did you read? Oh, okay. Well, that was an education, I'd say, at least for me. Only having been here in the South Cape for almost 4 years, so. And you gotta say it's been a big education for me. But one of the things he said at the end was prioritizing, and that's how nothing gets done. That's why we're where we are right now with all these projects, because you propose a project, and then it's talked about, and nothing happens because someone comes in and proposes another project. So that's what we're facing right now. So one of the things that's been talked about, is fun here, there, and everywhere, is parking. And all you have to do is drive over there and look at what's going on. You know, now the Dollar General is under new ownership, I believe. And so auto repair garage is now parking on Mechanic Street. They've got nowhere else to go. The new restaurant is drawing in more people. People are parking there. The post office has always been an issue because of where it is, and the curb is right there. So these are hazards, especially when you consider the post office. And for me, that is a priority. And I think that proposing all these new projects is going to delay the things that we have to take care of right now. So,
Okay, I will just say that I spoke to the person who owns the garage, and they are still using, they will use their lot, but the cars on Mechanic Street. I also went in to talk to the owner of the new restaurant, Isabella's, and he said that was where he told staff to park. And I suggested that he tell them to park further up on Main Street where there is not a lot going on.
So that's new information for me. So the garage is not using that road? No? Okay, that's new information for me. But it's still an issue.
Still an issue.
Yeah.
And that's why I think the idea of actually doing a plan that looks at parking and looks at, Main Street generally and mechanic is really critical because, there are problems that have existed there for a long time and we have no link between a rail trail and downtown. And I just think that, that's another project that, that one in particular is a very simple one to do. There's no signage on the rail trail either. So I think that some of these things are pretty simple and should be done post-haste. Okay. Anything else? I'm going to do the supervisor's report. On the subject of projects that are actually being built now, the highway garage we just received the design development drawings for that, and the construction documents will be next, and it's supposed to go out to bid at the end of July. The water district, we're supposed to get drawings from the engineers the end of May, and we've been applying to elected officials for grants, but the point is that we're going to have drawings, so that will be shovel-ready as well. And I think the grant situation in Washington makes it much more difficult to take on these big projects, but we're ready to do it if we can. The sidewalk to Beekman is supposed to start within a few days. There's a kickoff meeting Friday with Dutchess County and the general contractor. Interior painting is going on in Town Hall, doing repairs that began last week, and you can probably smell the paint. The graphic designer will be presenting his 3 designs at our next meeting, May 1st, for the town seal. The town web designers, I'm hoping will also be able to present at that meeting in terms of the new website. The LED sign, the bids were open, and John Andrews, the engineer, is reviewing them, and we hope to select a maker on May 1st. It's going to be a busy meeting. Lawsuits, it looks like both Kent Hollow and the Silo assessment suits are nearing completion. Zoning enforcement, I've been working with our CEO and prosecutor to resolve some old violations, which the prosecutor had some interesting ideas for a different strategy. Mental health, Rosanna set up a call with Dutchess County Department of Health regarding all the services they offer and wants to get the word out to people in town. Do you want to say anything more about that, Rosanna?
Actually, I do. So,
Good.
it was the Department of, mental health, there was 2 prongs. We talked about 2 things. One was mental health because of issues that we've had in town and what kinds of things that they have available to help when people have issues in town. So, that was part of it. The other part of it was the setting up the naloxone training, Narcan, and you're actually going to get boxes that have the Narcan in it. We'll have one in Town Hall next to the AED. We'll have one in Beacon Park next to AED. I'll have a vending machine. I did also, and they have outreach where they can come out and set up time for them to come out, probably with the mobile health units, come out and give people support like wound care kits and hygiene kits and things like that. There's actually a lot of support when you look into it. It's a matter of getting it together. And Eric is working on that. To set up times. We also consider the fact of, combining with other communities. I did speak with the supervisor of the town of Northeast, and he is very interested in having members take part in our campaign. And also, I sent him the information we had about the boxing boxes. And so hopefully we can kind of cover the area with that.
Great, thanks for starting that initiative.
The only other comment I think on that is that a while ago I spoke to Dutchess County about, the Department of Health about, they do offer fentanyl test kits to communities, and according to Dutchess County, there has been 3 years ago, Dutchess County, it was noted in the Gazette Journal, was number one in New York State for fentanyl deaths, for example. So they do offer these for free,
They do.
and we could have them in the town hall, and it's just a matter of, what you're doing and coordinating that along with it would be great.
But the interesting sidelight about that, when we talk about the fentanyl strips, is fentanyl apparently has taken the place of heroin, and so people are actually looking for fentanyl. The problem is when people are not suspecting having it in their marijuana or, other drugs of choice. But they have all those kinds of things. I mean, they have and at no cost. I mean, they have grants to do all this, like the, all the money, all the things we talked about tonight are free of charge.
The last thing I had are some Earth Day events. And another event, which I'll start with, which is the Armenian Historical Society was able to secure a roadside marker to honor Revolutionary War soldiers who were buried in the old Armenia burying ground, which is on Nygate Road. And they're going to have a dedication ceremony on Saturday, April 26th at 2 p.m. with cookies, I understand. And all right, well, I can add it to yours. You can go ahead and I'll find what I do with it.
You skipped one. What about the vultures? What was the thing about the
Oh, the vultures. No, we had an infestation of vultures in town hall. No one should be alarmed. I've done a little vulture research. They apparently travel in packs. They look for areas where there's good wind for them to soar and carrion or rodents and water. And this site apparently has all of those things in abundance. So hopefully they'll move on eventually, but no one should be alarmed to see them on the roof.
They're actually roosting on top of the building across from the bank. They're the end of it. They're up there on the peak. I've seen them up there many times. So
I remember seeing her at the town hall, and it's been a huge topic of conversation, so we was just following them, so he had to do some research to tell us whether or not we needed to be alarmed or not.
Well, I wanted to see if we needed to try to get rid of them, but apparently they are harmless as long as you're alive.
And the other item you were going to share with us, also going on the same day, was the planting of the tree down on
Yes.
State.
That's the Friday night, which is April 26th. I think that's at 5:30 for Arbor Day. There is going to be a tree planting in Mosaic at the head or tail, depending on how you're looking at it, of the rail trail. And that's sponsored by the Mini Garden Club. And then on the Saturday, back to Saturday the 26th, there's going to be an Earth Day celebration here, probably in the gym. And there's going to be, that's sponsored by the CAC and the Garden Club. There's going to be a lecture at 2, and a variety of other activities that day. And also, not to slight it, the town cleanup is going to be that morning, starting at 9. Either you can meet either at Fountain Square or at in downtown Mosaic, and people will be provided with bags and vests and gloves, and you never know what you're going to find along the side of the highway. So, all worth attending.
I did notice though that they already cleaned up between Dollar General and Synagogue. Remember that was brought up by the concerned citizen?
Yes, I think the concerned citizens scared them, so I think they get it.
But I noticed today that it's all cleared up and cleaned up.
I haven't gotten any more complaints, so it's a good sign. Okay, go on.
So the first thing I want to do is start off the town clerk's report by announcing that there's going to be a special meeting of the town board. The special meeting is for the sole reason of a non-consent resolution, and that resolution is going to be entitled authorizing the settlement of the state and federal court cases concerning Kent Hollow. That meeting is going to be scheduled for here, April 24th, beginning at 6:30 p.m. And it is a special meeting to address that one subject matter only.
And it's public, not executive
It
session.
is a public meeting, so I have already confirmed with the videographer, he is able to be here that evening, and the board members were there from the last meeting. So that, making sure the newspaper knows, she's right in the front row, but this is, we're getting this special meeting notice in as much as we can to emphasize this importance of this passing of this resolution. Starting the town clerk's report off with our taxes collected through this week. $7,877,273.01. In penalty, $10,637.77. And remaining uncollected, $1,131,027.86. And that breaks down out of all of our parcels, 1,901 have paid in full, with the remaining of 130 uncollected. The prior meeting minutes have been circulated for February, March, and the first one in April. Has the board had the opportunity to review said minutes?
I am.
Are you ready to take action on those? Is there a motion to go ahead and accept the February 6th, February 20th, March 6th, March 11th, March 20, and April 3rd minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Leo?
1 second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Also presenting this evening for the authorization for the supervisor to pay claims as follows. General Fund A, $113,215.66. Highway Fund, $26,660.15. Amenia Lighting, $1,262.18. Amenia Water, Wasik Lighting, $476.94. Amenia Water, $17,162.81. Highway Garage and Salt Shed, $43,753.72, for a total seeking authorization for the supervisor to pay claims in the amount of $202,531.46.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Also acknowledging receipts of the insurance from our Weewituck Central School District and our Weewituck Little League. They have provided us their insurance with the intent that they're going to be using Beacon Park this year for their baseball games. And I do have the Weewituck High School's baseball schedule, still waiting on the release schedule. Acknowledging receipt and circulation to all of the members. We have our animal control report for activity. Our building department report totaling $9,780.50 for the months of March activity. We also have the water system operation report from PRI, and also acknowledging receipt circulation prior to the meeting, our balance sheets and our abstracts. I also have received the request from the comp plan. I don't know if Bill's going to cover this, but they're having a special meeting on June 9th, and they'll be utilizing the auditorium as well as the gymnasium. He's graciously worked very well with our recreation chair, who will be taking care of notifying any activities that were regularly scheduled for the gym to go ahead and move them around.
That's the 9th of June at the particular time, or?
Beginning at 6 p.m. And for our fun community events, now that our pancake breakfast is over, we all got to still fill our bellies. So you can still come to the Immediate Fire Company in May. This year we are having our ham dinner. The ham dinner is going to include sliced ham, mashed potatoes, corn, green beans, dinner rolls, applesauce, and desserts. If anyone's interested in coming to this delicious dinner, contact Sean Howard at 845-418-8633, or Scott Orman at 845-518-6742. The cost is $17 per person, $15 for those that are 60 years young and younger. It is a take-out or eat-in event. It's going to be at our Armenian Firehouse from 4 to 7 p.m. And also,
Does that require reservations, that why we have this one?
you can call in ahead, let us know that you're coming, but
Okay.
you'll be able, you don't have to.
Okay.
And then also, Weewituck shared with me, they are having the Community Day, Saturday, May 17th, up at the high school from 10 to 2. This is a free event. They're going to have, the petty zoo, bubble bus, our Edie the Clown, touch a truck. I know our fire department will be there, offering up the ambulance. It's going to be a fun day of events for those who support our young friends up at Weewituck. So May has some good fun events. And that'll conclude the conference.
Don, regarding our conversation the other day about cattle fraud, as task collector, did you want to make a comment?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So something that Brad and I had a great conversation, and he was sharing with me, because I was telling him like what our numbers were and how we stood, and currently right now, about 130 unpaid taxes. And, you know, sometimes residents don't receive their bill. So why are you not receiving your bill? Are you not receiving the bill because we don't have the correct mailing address and you need to send it to an old PO box, or you now have a PO box and, you know, you're having it sent to your property? But one of the things that was pointed out that we have experienced here in this area is that sometimes when it's vacant land, that things happen and there's crime that takes place, and individuals will go ahead and get that property that you once thought you owned, transferred out into their ownership, and then they sell it, and then it becomes a big chaotic thing. So I think what I want to share with everybody, and knowing that, you know, there's scams that go on. There's scams going on, washing checks, there's scams going on, calling you saying that a loved one, you know, is in an emergency situation and needs money. So I want everybody to take the responsibility, knowing that as a property owner, you are responsible to pay your taxes. They come every year, not once a year, but twice a year here in town of Amenia, Dutchess County. So in February, you have to pay your property bill, and in September, you have to pay your school bill. So the joyous way to remember that and mark that on your calendar, you love your property, so by Valentine's, if you don't have your tax bill in hand and ready to pay, think Valentine's, pay your property bill. And September comes around, we all know it's Labor Day, send those kids back to school, let's pay that school bill so that way they can continue going all year round. So with those two dates in the back of your mind. A lot of times we rely on our banks, because our banks pay them because we have a mortgage. But you still get a receipt. So I said every person that has an escrow through the bank account, your receipt, that you should have in your mailbox on or before March 10th, March 15th. So if you're not receiving a receipt, or you haven't received your bill, it's an excellent opportunity for you to give us a call here at the town clerk's office. We will be happy to review your bill status with you. Also encouraging everybody to visit www.amenia.gov and look at your tax invoice, and you can ensure that it's going to the right address and that you are still the rightful owner of that property.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other reports, Judy, you want to do right? Or have you already said all you need, feel like you want to say?
No, actually, there's a couple of things.
Good.
I didn't ask Dawn to hold this up, but because then people can see.
I mainly want to report that the swimming program that the town has started with Maplebrook, who is generously allowing us to use their pool. We pay for the lifeguards, but it's really growing every week. There are more and more people. I just left there today. There were 19 young people and parents swimming in the pool, having a wonderful time, screaming out loud. And there were 12 seniors who came before that. So that's a lot of people getting to enjoy a local resource, and we're very grateful for Maplebrook allowing us to hold that program there. And if anyone is interested in attending, you can send an email to recreation@ameniany.gov, and we will give you more information. There's also that flyer that's up there is on the homepage of the town website, so you can get information there too. We are planning on May 3rd a paint and sip, which will be held here at Town Hall. It's a paint and sip. Yes, the people, a local person, Casey Swift, will be here to teach us all how to draw lovely things, and I've done one with her, and I actually have something I don't mind putting up on the wall, and I have zero artistic talent, so I can really recommend her ability. And the sipping will not be wine, but it will be some mocktails and some other fun things. So that's May 3rd, 11 to 1, if anyone would like to come. Thanks.
Bill, do you want to report on one or the other of both of your committees? Both.
I'm Bill Flood, Chairman of the Water Committee. Actually, we're scheduling a meeting in the next 2 weeks, I think. So, everything at this point is in the
short-circuit, the valve, the issue with the valves was, as I recall, that, there were a number, they weren't able to shut off the water.
Right, there would be
It's
something
like
in
dead.
place. Right.
So that's happening, which is good.
I think they have one left to do on 44 in State Road, which they can't do, they have to bring someone in to do that.
Okay, great.
So they couldn't close it. So I'm also chairman of the Comp Plan Review Committee, and we are having our first meeting on June 9th at 6 o'clock here. We'll be the first public meeting that will be run by PACE and your affiliates. So flyers will go out shortly, posters will go out, and social media will start so we can get people in here so we can get their comments and so on and so forth.
Great.
And I just want to say one more thing about what Brad brought up about the schemes. We had a corporate meeting today. It's a worldwide problem that these scammers are really, really good at. To give you an example, we had a broker in our Rhinebeck office who bought a piece of property with her attorney, the seller's attorney, with a private company, closed, money transferred, and was a phony deal.
But this happened to me in Wilmington, or it's happening right now in Wilmington.
So then she got her money back. She got her money back, some they were lucky. But there are others, another scam that they're doing is that they're watching the sales, because everything's on public information for them. So they're watching the sales, they're emailing the buyers, telling them to wire the money for the closing, and it's a false account. So it's being, they wire it. Some get the money back because FDIC approved or covered, they get it back. Others do not, so be very, very careful about this. It's an unbelievable thing.
What's happened in Wilmington is that this fellow that owned a piece of land didn't get his tax bill over the course of a year. We thought that was strange. Didn't call on it. Turns out that someone impersonated him, took title to the property, and then sold it. And then I got a phone call because I happened to be the person that sold that particular person several years ago, and he informed me of what was going on, because the property was getting hit. And this is right now happening live. The thing I want to say, so we don't all panic here, is it's mostly on vacant land parcels here, as Billy will attest to. And the reason this has become a problem is because everything is, most things are done online. Sometimes you never see the people. So this is a growing problem. So it's just, in my mind, something we all need to be aware of and be careful of. Thank you, Bill.
Do not wire anything until you talk to your attorney or someone that knows that's an authority that knows what's going on.
That sale went through a realtor, it went through a title company, and went through 2 attorneys, and was sold. So you think along the lines they would have been able to pick that up. So this is how tenuous this is. Be careful.
On that topic, not just about real estate, the scamming has gotten really bad. It's got a horrible email, and they actually had my password for my email. I don't know how they got it, but I'm wondering if maybe we should have, either through NECC or just through the town, maybe have somebody come in and have invite people to come in and learn about some of the big scams that are going on. I mean, they're happening all the time, and a lot of times they're targeting seniors. And I know I have a mother who's 98 years old who had somebody call and say, "Grandma, I need money," and not knowing, she said his name, and he said, "Oh yeah, that's who it was," but fortunately she thought better of it. Didn't know why he'd be in Las Vegas. So anyway, I guess my point is maybe we should do something to help educate the public in the scams that are going on, not just on real estate, but in so many things.
Well, one of the biggest ones is the Easy Pass.
Yeah.
Everybody's got it. And then the same with Social Security, where they're calling Social Security will never call you. Or the IRS will never, ever call you.
So what we can do right now being proactive with this is we can post a notice on our website
Sure.
about the warning, so that can happen right now.
Mhm.
Is that right, board?
Do you want to write that down?
I think that would be great.
Since
Yeah, I
I just
can
want to
write
be
it
on
down.
top of that, okay?
No problem.
And maybe as they promote, just add to the list so that people know. I mean, we need to make people aware because it's gotten very scary.
Rosanna, maybe you want to call like someone in government, like the controller or someone to present, to make a presentation. I mean, there may be other ways to do that, but I think it's a good idea. Okay, I think we move into discussion.
I'm sorry. Enhancement committee.
No, thank you.
So it's kind of like that segue with what you were talking about earlier. The enhancement committee is collaborating with the CAC committee for the town cleanup on Saturday, April 26th at 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. The enhancement committee states we need volunteers to be at Fountain Square to hand out orange vest, plastic bags, and to make sure the volunteers sign in. This is from the enhancement committee. I'm unable to participate this year due to a lesson schedule, etc. Lauren is going, we're meeting with Mark Morrison, had a meeting with Mark Morrison to discuss the Lost Lake Green and Main Street. And they're working on getting better designs and cooperations and working together. So that was something we also talked about. Okay, that's about it.
Okay, and actually, I'll mention the Economic Development Committee is meeting on Monday, and they're going to be discussing parking, donations, solicitation, cell phones. The chair is going to report on preliminary outreach to Adams about trying to get some, have them come here. And so there's a lot of interesting topics, so I think it's open meeting, it's public meeting, and it's 6:30 on the 21st, on Monday. And the full agenda is on the website, I believe, right, Doug?
Great. Okay, so we removed hiring a grant writer because it's already under resolutions. And an RFQ for a landscape architect, clearly we need to think about there are landscape issues in multiple places, but I'm not sure we're really ready to do that yet. So I think we should probably have another conversation about that before we do. I had drafted a letter to Main Street owners about parking and possible solutions, and Ian thought that it would be made more sense to actually try to set a meeting with business owners and building owners, although the building owners all don't have a meeting, but in any event. And so I think we'll probably set that up instead and talk about where their problems are and whether they have ideas for solutions. I'm sorry, what was that? You can, when we get to public comment again. Something followed off this agenda actually, which is weird.
We already did the letter of support.
Yeah, we already did that, right, so we're racing through these. The letter to the planning board about Jeff Carnival's property, I think Jeff is here to present. You want to give us I don't know what it would be, an update, description?
I don't really know what to say. I guess years ago, when the road was widened, the right-of-way and then which extends from the middle of the road, however far out, began intersecting the front of the white building at 14 Main Street. And so it continues to this day to be an issue that the town may have laid claim to the front of my building. So it would be great if we could try and address that in some form or fashion. If you guys want the first 0.7 to 1.1 feet, depending on where you're standing. But I would love to do what we can to move that forward.
Okay.
I think we need to make a motion right to authorize you to contact the town lawyer to draft a letter
Yeah.
in support
So,
of.
is there a motion to go ahead and authorize the town attorney to prepare a letter of support for this matter?
Yes, I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. So they'll work with Ian and, tomorrow's a Friday, so. So
Yeah, I
next
don't
week they'll get us a letter
anticipate,
needed.
any speed on this, but I'm working with the site plan review and planning board, so this is just one of many things that needs to be ticked off. And then, should I do public comment now, or do you want me to wait?
Well, we have to do one resolution.
I'll wait.
Just wait a minute. Okay, we have one resolution. Oh, the tax relief. The tax relief, I'm sorry, that comes off too because the housing board proposed that and they haven't had a meeting to discuss it yet, so we keep losing bits and pieces.
I do believe though that it was reviewed at one point, was it turned down by the, board and passed?
It was presented for the board to move forward with it, and that year they only went ahead with the one resolution, and that was the amending of the senior exemptions. The other items that were presented were never actually going to take it through, so they would just be authorizing the attorney if that's what you're looking to do.
I spoke to Donna Pickle about this too, and she wanted to have some, she had some thoughts about this too, but I
Bring
think,
it to the next meeting.
I do, and that is exactly right, Leah. She needs to be the one to address this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. All right, so then we have a resolution, very unusual for us. All right, Tom. Okay, authorizing contract for town of Amelia grant writer, that's resolution number 51 of 2025. Whereas the town board of the town of Amelia is seeking to retain the services of a grant writer to assist the town with its grant writing efforts, including planning and prioritizing grant writing goals, searching and targeting federal, state, and local funding sources for the town's ongoing needs, and to draft grant applications on behalf of the town. And whereas the town board of the town of Amelia has obtained a proposal from Christina Gast LLC to provide grant writing services for the town of Amelia in accordance with the proposal annexed here to and made a part hereof. And whereas the services to be provided by Christina Gast LLC to the town constitute professional services which are exempt from the bidding requirements under general municipal law, section 103, and the town of Amelia procurement policy. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. One, the recitation set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as it fully set forth and adopted herein. Two, the town board of the town of Amelia hereby authorizes a contract with Christina Gast LLC to provide grant writing services in accordance with the proposal annexed here to and made a part hereof. Three, the town board of the town of Amelia hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute a contract for such services after review and approval by the attorneys of the town in substantially the same form as annexed here to. Four, the town board of the town of Amelia hereby authorizes and directs payments for Christina Gast LLC services to be paid from the grant administrator budget line number 1.019894.01.057 in accordance with the next proposal. Five, the town supervisor, upon consultation with the attorney of the town, is authorized to negotiate and clarify any wording, provided the overall expense and liability to the town is consistent with the provisions contained in the next proposal. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. And are there any other board comments before we move to
Yeah,
public comments?
I wrote the warning and sent it to the board to review for the webpage.
Oh, you did?
It's done,
When did that go out?
just up to.
No, okay, that's why I hadn't seen it. Okay, thank you. Good to know, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'm gonna assume that's a no, Rosanna. What? Well, you have mentioned other things, I didn't want you to feel any pressure. Okay, so, that's board comments, other matters? So I'm not really sure what the difference is between the two, but
I'm good.
okay, you're good. So, We will then move into public comment on all business, 3 minutes per speaker. Jeff?
Hi, I'm Jeff Barnett Winsby. I'm excited that the board is supporting Mark and others to work for the larger master planning document and work on beautification of the parks in downtown Mosaic. However, I want to make very clear, and this is more for the folks at home, that we haven't been consulted on this yet, and I in no way support the removal of the raised bed downtown Mosaic. I have been really attacked for that in the past. I have nothing to do with it. Nothing. Not been talked about with this. Like, no, not me.
No, I can vouch for you, and I know the enhancement committee has
really-
signed on to that.
I appreciate that. In the future, though, I would really like to work with everyone. We've been working hard to beautify the river and clean up a lot of the stuff along there, and it's especially dealing with the retaining wall and other challenges like that. And I'm clearly excited about the future of Mosaic, and Amenia too, but Mosaic is everywhere. So thank you very much, and I hope we can be involved.
And enhancement has basically been leading that, but you know how to reach them and just make sure you're on the list for meetings. Okay.
Thank you, Jeff, for all that you do, just beautify.
Yes,
It's my honor. Appreciate it.
Bill?
My name is Bill Flood. I'm gonna pick up on what Jeff said.
Okay.
I'd like to see Mark move forward with the stuff that he's proposed. It's been proposed for 25 years. But I also don't understand why, like the sign for the rail trail you could order tomorrow can be done. Gretchen got a grant to do the bicycle, whatever it's called, things for the road. I think the town has the thing down at the highway garage.
Really? Okay.
So they
Haven't heard
could
that.
just be spray painting again. That's a one-day job, it's done. And I don't understand why you have plans for trees and shrubs and so on and so forth. You must have some money somewhere, you can buy a few trees here and there every now and then and just plant them.
Absolutely.
The same with the park, there's plenty of parking, there's no lines, no stripes. I do agree that we have many more tenants on Main Street now than we have ever had before. But some of the buildings do have off-street parking,
Right.
and they are using it, some are not. Some of the businesses are parked in front of the streets all day long. And I don't understand why the library has a gated parking lot.
I spoke to them about that, actually. They said they.
I can answer that.
Oh, go, you go ahead. I'm sick of
So
it.
I have spoken to the library board. The reason being is when they did, and it's the same thing with how Stoneleaf's got our parking spaces out here, got the parking spaces. So when people go to the planning board for their site plans, they have to have adequate parking as part of the site plan. So in order for them to move forward, they had to have designated parking, like every place has designated parking, and that is why they did
The
it.
planning board can also give a variance, that's allowed.
Well, they've given a lot of variances, which is part of the problem.
Correct, but don't get me wrong, that should be public parking.
Did
And
they
the
have
same,
anything to say about that, by the way? Because I was told that they had some problems before that was a paved parking lot and stuff didn't
Well, they did
abandon.
have, they had problems, because they had overnight parking, so people would come in during the day and cars would be parked there all day long, just like they.
I understand it's a problem, I understand it's a problem. During the day, there's no reason why I can't use this as a parking lot. But at night, I agree, or somebody can't do that. So, but I think in the state of New York, somebody should be made to stripe Main Street for parking. That should be done. And then, site plans have to be done by the zoning administrator.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Site plans have to be done by the zoning administrator or enforced, which they're not.
So we're about to advertise. What do you think we could do
We
now?
did, matters.
Oh, that was up matters.
To authorize people.
Okay.
And then, when I was supervisor, we did a study, and we had an engineering firm look at the tennis courts.
Yeah.
Pete Sotero looked at that. By the time the town would spend the money doing ingress, egress, the handicap parking that's needed, blah, 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 it was not worth the expense.
Yeah, I tried to reach that guy. It turned out that he is, he used to work at the firm that's actually putting a highway garage in Virginia. Greatest
He
firm.
works for Rich Rennie now.
Right. Oh, you know where he is?
Yeah.
So do we know if we can find that drawing?
He's the town engineer for Hyde Park.
Oh, do you think he might have that drawing, because the people at the firm didn't know?
We'll see, I'll ask.
I mean, it'd be good to see that, because.
I don't know if you ever did a drawing, we did a study, we did some preliminary work and stuff that was done, it just was not worth the aggravation.
Billy, I looked at the GIS, parcel access. And if you look at that site, the basketball court, it's larger than Cumberland Farms, it's definitely larger than Dollar General. And it's about 2/3 the size of this lot. So this is why I'm saying, show me the study, let's say we can or we
Of course, a
can't.
lot of people use that basketball.
Well, no, but we've already talked and we're, Rapids considering building a new one, I believe, right? Well, it could be, things do change. But I just don't get it. I haven't seen a study that says, well, we use that for cars, but I just don't get it.
I didn't say 4 cars. That was definitely not me, because I agree with you.
Okay, let's set up a meeting
But
here.
you have to have two, an entrance and an exit.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
that eats up a lot of time.
much like this one up here.
Well, if
We'll see.
okay.
Yeah.
Let me know, because, I mean, I am an architect, I could draw that up, but I'd rather not. There's a lot of other stuff going on, so
That's a
it'd be
conflict.
great if you could find
That's a
it.
conflict.
So you have other matters?
I'd like to mention, kind of,
Response there?
So, the other thing that concerns me is the safety of it. Because we have 2 drivers coming down Cumberland Farms, we have one coming down Dollar General, we have one coming down Mechanic Street, and then if we have an ingress and an egress from that parking lot, and right in the middle, we have a crosswalk. And so my concern is the safety of having it there and having it.
I think there's plenty of parking without it. You've got to stripe it, people have to walk. And obviously, if there's a few hours when the post office is busy, that's when it gets congested. There has been for day one, and they'll never move the post office.
Well, we've talked about putting a handicap space and having shorter term parking there. I mean, that's pretty.
Well, it
easy.
gets me, you got a foot to climb up when you're in a wheelchair, you're never gonna get anywhere. So this is bizarre.
Okay, no handicap
Or to
worker.
climb over snowbanks.
Right.
Okay, but anyway, we can change the sign so it's shorter term parking. Because that's the biggest complaint I get is about parking at the post office. I mean, not that there aren't a lot of other topics that I hear complaints about, but I think that's the
There's no
most numerous.
That's not it.
So there actually is another item under, thank you, under other matters, which is that I would like to, give, oh my God, I'd like to post for a potential building inspector level 1 part-time, which we actually have in our budget already. We've been using a consultant to do the zoning part of that job, and it costs the same as what it would be to have a half-time building inspector doing that job. And we've had trouble getting one for Dutchess County, but they have no one available now, so it allows us to go out on our own and advertise. So I'd like to make a motion to ask Dawn to put out an ad for that position, and on Indeed, so that we actually get some responses.
And that's at $28 an hour for 20 hours a week.
Yes, $28 an hour.
On Indeed, on Indeed.
Yes.
On Indeed, right. Oh, so I make that motion.
Yeah.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
That's very exciting. Okay,
Can I just make one comment about the traffic?
sure.
I just want to second what Brad said about.
I'm sorry, just introduce yourself.
Sorry, I'm Janie Dynas, I live right here in Indiana on 22. And I agree with Roseanne about safety and stuff, but I was trying to park on Main Street. There's nothing more dangerous than people, like when I come through my truck and trailer and stuff, like the post office, or I was in a parking Millbrook bank, which I'm sure they just love. But there's nothing more dangerous than trying to skirt across the road there, everybody trying to beat the red light, stuff like that. I think if we could, if there's any way, every time I drive to town, I think, those basketball courts, build something nicer in, you know, away from the street, that would be prime parking, I mean, that I don't know, like, how many businesses have we had on that corner, the Cozy Corner, where the new one is? I don't think they make it because of parking. I know lunch or anything, and maybe they can get a dinner crowd, but if you can just help parking be down the street a little bit and get us away from the light, like, that's so, the amount of accidents I almost see happen there daily, and people just dart in and out of cars, I'm like, and then they'll step out, like, my truck goes through, but my trailer has to come, and here they come walking between the cars, and they don't know I have a trailer. So, like, I think I love the idea of getting parking down further in town.
Okay,
Just, that's my
thank you.
2 cents.
And maybe a crosswalk that's not quite there, so close to the light. I won't make a left hand turn. I go across, because it's so dangerous, trying to take a left hand turn if you're going, towards, if I'm coming and I need to take a left going south on 22, I go across the Mechanic Street and go down there because there's too many crazy people on the road.
Yeah, I mean, we've sent some of these issues to DOT, and the only thing that they've done, although to their credit, it's better than it was, is they've changed the timing of the light, so you get like a 10-minute advantage before you get run over. And DOT also wants to know how many people have been,
10
what?
seconds, you want to be a sprinter if you're going to cross.
Well, at least maybe they can see, but anyway, they also want to know how many people have died at the intersection before they show any interest, so that's really a lot of fun. Okay, then I move that we adjourn. Ooh, what? Oh, go ahead.
When it comes to the parking, I want to say, regardless of how many extra spaces you would get at the basketball court, as a senior who doesn't get mail delivered to me and needs to pick up packages from Amazon at the post office, you're not helping me by putting parking down there, because I'm not going to be walking all the way up to the post office and carrying the packages back. That parking there is going to benefit who? Cumberland Farms, who already has a parking lot. Dollar General, who already has a parking lot. We need parking that allows people to get near the post office, or we need the post office to move, which we're probably never going to get done. But you have to consider where you need the parking, not just that there happen to be some spaces somewhere. You're absolutely right. I use Bank of Millburg all the time too. And luckily, since I will be there for 5 minutes, so far they haven't yelled at me, but we need parking where it matters. And down by Cumberland Farms, to me, does not seem to be terribly useful extra parking. That's all.
Okay, thank you. All right, now I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
It's 8:33, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you all.